fruit of itself except it abide in the vine. No more can you except you abide in me. I am the vine, and ye are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me ye can do nothing. For if a man abide not in me, he is cast forth as a branch, and is withered, and men gather them and cast them into fire, and they are burned. If ye abide in me, and my words abide in you, ye shall ask what you will, and it shall be done unto you. Herein is my Father glorified, that ye bear much fruit, so ye shall be my disciples. As the Father hath loved me, so I love you. Continue you in my love. Thank you for standing for the reading of the word. Verse 5, he said, I am the vine, and ye are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me ye can do nothing. Without God, you can do nothing. I thought we live in a world and we look around and it seems like there's a whole lot of people doing a whole lot of things, Brother Tom. And it seems like they don't give a thought about God.
Yeah.
But then we look and we see where this world is going.
Right.
And we look back to this scripture and we realize without God, you can do nothing.
Right.
Because this world is in a mess.
Right.
And they're doing it without God. And I thought tonight Jesus was comparing us as a branch to a vine.
Right.
Because in those days, the vine was a very important commodity, if you would.
That's right.
The grapes, I mean, it was necessary. I mean, that's what they drank it. I mean, they depended upon the grapes. And so the husbandman took care of his vineyard. It was something that he worked hard for. I've seen some people that I've never done much with grapes. Once I thought about buying me some vines and putting them out, and but I have seen some people with some grapevines, Brother Tom, and they was just massive grapevines, and you go in there and there were no grapes because they allowed it to just get out of hand.
Yeah.
And then you go in there and you see this guy that's cut them back, and you think, man, that's just a twig. And then when it comes time to bear, he has lots of grapes because he controlled them, he worked them.
Yeah.
And I begin to think about that, and the thought that I've got on my mind, and you might say, well, how in the world did you tie these together? But in the day and hour that we're living in, we don't think much about necessarily a vine. Most of us, if we drink any grape juice, we go to the store and we buy a can of Welch's and we drink it. I mean, we don't give a thought of where that grape came from. Colin came home, I believe it was yesterday, and when he came into the house, I believe it was yesterday, maybe Friday, and he said, did you know that a tomato is a fruit? And so she said, well, yeah. And she said, and she went on. He said, because it grows on a vine. And so it's a fruit, and he was just astounded by that. And because of where it came from, he gave him a little thought. Yeah. He just he thinks tomato come from Walmart or Kroger. You slice it, put it on your hamburger, and you eat it. But it grew on a vine, and it gave him some thought of where that came from.
Yeah.
And I thought today we don't think much about the vine, but there's a lot of things in our lives that are connected. And if they come unconnected, we would be in a world mess.
Yeah.
That's right.
If some of the things that we're connected to came disconnected. Some years ago, Brother Sparks, he's got those Bradford pears there in his yard. And I've got two in my yard. And take my advice. If you ever get a new place established and you want to put out some trees, don't put out Bradford pears.
Amen.
There's too much work involved in them. Might need to be trimmed down. but we trimmed those trees, and behind him there's used to be a pond, and they filled it in, and there was some water there, and we threw that brush in that pond. And a few months later, we done it in the fall of the year, right around Thanksgiving. And he done it. I went out and helped him a little bit. And but we threw that brush in that pond, and that spring we went out there, and Brother Tom, those limbs were budding. They were sprouting.
Yep.
They were beginning to get life to them.
Yep.
But just as soon as it got hot, those buds didn't amount to nothing.
That's right.
They withered away
Right.
because they were no longer connected to the tree.
Come on.
The source that provided them the energy that they needed for that sap to stay up in that limb,
Come on.
to bring and keep those leaves green until the fall of the year comes through, was not there.
Come on.
And I thought sometimes if we're not careful, we will bud, if you would. We'll get a little bit of spirit about us, and we'll come to life, but we're not staying connected enough to keep that life turning inside of us. And the first thing that comes by, we begin to wither away. And I thought it's important for us to stay connected. And I thought tonight, if we're connected to something else that's making us feel good, we got to realize, because it makes us feel good doesn't keep us alive.
Come on.
That's right.
I thought this world is dependent on a lot of things that make them feel good, but they are dead.
Right.
A couple of weeks ago, Mom's friend Marcia wanted me to clean her car up, and I went up on a Saturday morning to pick it up, and I was at a car wash and some things, and I swung into the dollar store there in Irving, the one over at Vance, and I got out, and this is 11 o'clock in the morning. And when I walked up to the door, there was a young man standing there, probably in his mid-20s, and he had no idea where he was even at, Brother Danny. 11 o'clock in the morning, he got a hold of something that had taken his pain plumb away. And I thought, but the sad part is, Brother Tom, reality's going to come back in. Then he's got to find that fix again, because it don't last. And the thing about God is it lasts, but we've got to stay connected to God. We've got to stay connected to the source that's providing us with what we're needing. And although that source has got to be connected.
Yes.
And I thought I was just a teenager, still living at home, and I don't know, maybe 14-year-old, somewhere in that neighborhood. And the house we lived in a while town didn't have no lights in the ceiling in none of the bedrooms.
No.
You walked in, there was a light switch, you could flip it, and if you had a lamp plugged into a plug, then you could turn the light on. But other than that, it was just working a plug. And Sister Sparks, one day she decided she was going to go buy some ceiling fans, and we were going to put ceiling fans in every one of the bedrooms, and with a light on them. And me and her got in there, and we measured, and we found the center of the room. We cut a hole, we put a box in, we ran a wire down, and connected to that light switch, and we had lights. But while I was doing that, when we first moved there, the bathroom light never did work.
Never did.
I mean, it never worked. And they even had somebody that was an electrician come once, and he checked it, and he said, well, you got power at the top of the plug and bottom of the plug, but when you get to the light, there's no juice there, and that was the end of it. Never found out what the problem was. And while I was up in the attic running those wires, and I told Mom, I said, I want to try to figure out why that bathroom light don't work. And so I got over to where the light was, and I got a hold of the wire, and I began to run it across the joist. And after a while, the wire came up out of the insulation, and it had been cut clean in two. And I curled back down, and I said, that wire's cut in two up there. And so we got us another box, went up there, we fixed the junction box, and I got some wire ties, I put that together, and she flipped the switch on, and for the first time since we lived there, that bathroom light came on. And I thought, and the light was always there.
Right.
The switch was always there. We always walked through, and you could flip that switch, and you could get power to the top of it. But it never made it to the light because something had disconnected it. And I thought, if we're not careful tonight, we can allow things to get us disconnected from God. We go through all the motions of turning it on, but there's no power there. I thought, I'm tired of allowing things, Brother Brad, to drain me from the power of God. I thought we got family that's dying lost, and Brother Ronnie stood there this morning crying and talking about his cousin that's dying lost, and he says he's all right. Whenever he knows that there's things in his life and the language he's using is going to keep him separated from God, because we've got a church world today that's watered things down and told our family, you can go ahead and do what you're doing, but it's connecting them to the source of power.
Exactly right. Yes, it
He
is.
said that if we didn't abide with the vine, then the husband would cut us away. And then we would be gathered up and cast into the fire.
Come on.
And although we are the branches, he said we are the branches. We're the ones that's to bring forth the fruit.
Right.
I thought the vine itself doesn't bring forth no fruit.
That's right.
That stem is just a big round stem.
That's right.
But it's those branches
Yes.
that's got the fruit on it.
Come on. Right.
We're the branches. I thought I was up there, I guess it was Thursday evening, over at Wesley's place, and helped my father-in-law. I got a couple old cars and big old fence road there, and there's a big old grapevine and a big wild, and you know how them things get. It's huge. And I took a saw and I cut it in two and pulled it out of the way. And I thought that big chunk of vine, I mean, you could probably split it up and use it for firewood. I mean, you know, they'll burn. And but I mean, you wouldn't have to split it. But I mean, it's big enough you could cut it up for firewood. But all those vines was all up in those trees. And I thought that's what blooms. That's what brings forth the fruit. It's those little things. And I thought, but we've got to stay to the vine in order to branch out, to bring forth fruit. I thought, I don't know about you, but I want to stay connected tonight.
Amen.
I want to stay connected to the thing
Trying my best.
that God would have me to do. I thought, and you know, there's a lot of times that we look at other things and we allow them to, like I said, distract us from what God is wanting us to do. You know, and a lot of times we look at the things in life that we use every day, and I thought sometimes it's bad to become disconnected. You know, and I've used the illustration. Some years ago, I had on goats and had electric fences up. The electric was out, and the electric had been out for 14 days, I believe it was. And I had a little wire gap there I could let down and go in. And the electric was out, Brother Bill. And I went down and crossed the electric fence, went back, put out some hay and feed, made sure the water was there for the goats. And I was coming back, and I grabbed that old wire, and I pushed it down and threw one leg across it. And Sister Kathy said she heard me let out a yelp plumb in the house. About the time I crossed that fence, they turned the power on.
Right.
Brother Brad, it didn't take me all day to realize the electric was on. And I thought, I had a good electric fence box. Lightning struck it and tore it up, and I sent it in and how it worked. And the guy changed some diodes, and I think it was a 500-mile fence, and that I had. And I mean, man, that thing would knock you good. And I had both hands on it when the power came on. And I realized real quick, hey, we're connected. There's electric here. We've got power here. And I thought sometimes when we get connected with God, we know it.
We know.
I thought a few weeks ago we had a service here. Some of us got connected real good. And we came to the altar and we felt the power of God like we hadn't felt it in a while. But if we're not careful, we allow things to get us disconnected. I thought, you know,
Amen.
it's a lot of times we talk to the young people, and like I said earlier, we get to talk about the vine, and you know where the fruit comes from. I mean, you know, you get grape juice out of a bottle or a can, you don't realize the importance of vine. Or we talk about other things that all these young kids, they ain't worried about if mom and dad's got any money in their pocket or not, because they just pull through the ATM, stick a card in there, and get it on the wall. I mean, there's no conception of how serious things are sometimes. But I thought if you want to get to the young people's heart and get their attention, and you start talking about connected, then there's such things as in our houses called routers and modems. Brother Thomas, he thumbed me up there. You start disconnecting some of that stuff and see how fast they start paying attention. Because it's necessary for them, Brother Bill, to stay connected. We've got some young men there at work, and we got. I'm not rode with him, Brother Danny's rode with him some. We got a young man that's a relief driver, and some of them said that when he's riding with him, if he ain't asleep, he's on his phone. And so I don't know if that's a fact or not, but that's the world we're living in. And these young people, they got to stay connected. They got to stay connected with their friends and their cyber world, if you would. But I thought if we were so concerned, as concerned with staying connected with God, Sister Marcia, as we are the things that's on the internet, how much further along would we be? We had a boy work there at work with us one time, and he was all the time talking about his buddies. I got a buddy that does this, and I got a buddy that does that. And one of the other guys one night pinpointed him down about his buddies. He said, "You're talking about all your buddies? Who are? Well, they're people that I game with." And he'd get on the internet, hook up, put the headphones on, and all the whole rigmarole, and how they do it, and sit there and game, and he's connected online. That was his buddies. Yeah. And he said, "No, those are not your buddies. Right. A buddy will come on a cold, rainy night and pull you out of the mud. Right. Those guys aren't going to do that. No. They're just people that you are connected with. Right. A lot of times we get on Facebook and they talk about how I don't have Facebook. I mean, I've used it in the past, and I feel like that I'm better off without it. Right. And but you get on there and they're talking about how many friends they got. No, you don't have that many friends. You have that many virtual people that you're connected to. Come on. But I thought if we all become unconnected, how many of those people are still our friends? Come on. None of them. But I thought the thing about it with God, if we allow ourselves to come unconnected with Him, is He still strives and tries to stay in contact with us. I thought I have allowed myself, Brother Bill, to come unconnected from God. Come on. But He still knocked on my heart. He still strives with me daily. We need to reconnect. Amen. And I thought those virtual friends that we're connected to, they're not going to strive for us. They're not going to try to reconnect with us. They're not. But I thought God is striving to pull us together. I thought it's important that we stay connected. Yes, it is. And I thought and the main thing is we need to stay in. Allow Him to keep control. Yes. I hope we're living in a time whenever they say that God, help us, Jesus. Things can run themselves. But they can't. Well, they came out with them new cars, I want to call Tesla. And they total electric, smart, run off GPS, and can pretty much even drive themselves. And you think, man, that's all right. And then I read the article the other day that the new Mustang they're coming out with, and they're doing away with all the Mustang. They'll put an electric motor in. It's going to be an all electric car, but they're going to put a thing in there to make it sound like an engine revving. I guess so the real gearhead can still think he's driving a 5.0 V8. I don't know. But they got all that stuff. And then I read an article the other day. A guy, I believe it was in California, had a crash in one of those Teslas, and he died. And then they get to investigating, and they get his phone, and they go through all the data of his phone, and they realize that at the moment and the time that he crashed and died, he was playing a video game on his phone. He wasn't even driving. He was entrusting that smart car. Yeah. And I thought the thing is a lot of people are entrusting the technology, and the things of this world when we need to be connected with God.
Yes.
Trusting in
That's right.
God.
Amen.
Trusting in the Lord. I thought, there at work, we've had the same IT guy, Brother Tom, and we've had the same one as long as I've worked there. And we have been way too long trying to get new computer software. And the boss brought his son in, and these young kids, they just take off with them. And this week he'd been working on it, and he within 3 days got more accomplished than our IT guys been doing. Because our IT guy's getting $80 an hour, and Will's there because he's got himself in trouble, and his dad's bringing him to work with him every day because he ain't got no money, and dad's paying his bills. And so he's sitting there, and he's getting all this figured out, and the IT guy dragging his feet because he's getting $80 an hour. And so he figured out, and then he comes in there and he said, we've got this new software, and he calls the people that's got our software, and I can't even remember the name of it now, Entree, and they said, we're having problems. And what Windows are you using? He said, we're using Windows 7. They said, you can't even use that Windows no more and use Entree. You got to have at least Windows 10. And he went through all the stuff, and he came in there and he said, we're outdated. We're going to have new computers, or we can't use it. And I thought that, and it ain't been that long ago, we got all new computers. And I thought, we're already out of date again? It's because it's a continual having to move up, having to keep up with the thing, with the times. But the thing about it, God don't ever change. We don't have to worry about trying to keep up with God. He established all of His days in this world. And whenever he went way back, whenever he gave Moses the 10 Commandments, and he spelled all that out for us. And then when we got over to the New Testament, over 2,000 years ago, when we got all that, I thought it's not changed one bit. And it don't get old. And we don't have to upgrade it and spend a lot of money, a lot of time. All we've got to do is stay connected. Just simply stay connected with God. And I thought those of us that have come connected, let's don't allow nothing to disconnect us from the power that we know comes from God. Oh, there is an awesome power in serving God. A power that no one else has. Oh, I work with some boys, and they will say and do about anything. And there's some there that are no different than them. But yet, they go to church every Sunday. And they'll come to church, and sometimes I'll walk in, and they'll start telling me about their church service they had Sunday, and who came to church. And then they'll walk off, and the other boy look at me, and he'll say, why does he waste his time? Now, what do you mean? He ain't no different than I am. Why in the world does he waste his time to go to church? If I decide to go to church, then I'm not going to waste my time, because I'm going to change the way I live. Because he realizes there's a difference whenever we're connected with God. And I hope that I'm living the life that they know that I'm connected to God. And that whenever I walk off, they don't walk to others and say, why is he wasting his time?
Yeah.
Because they know that we are connected.
Right.
We're connected to the vine. We are a branch that's bringing forth fruit. As they come against the song tonight, I hope that just a simple, very elementary thought, I know. But the Lord laid this on my heart last week of how that some of us will get connected. And we've got just enough source to bring us forth enough energy that we can bloom a little bit. But the first thing that happens, we wither away. We lose that fervency to stay connected to a source that can keep us blooming and keep us alive. I thought, I want to be alive tonight.
Amen.
I don't want to be dead. I don't want to come to the church every night and just go through the motions. But I want to come and be alive.
Yes.
Feel the presence of God. And a lot of times, And we can all do it. I used to sit and listen to Brother Elmo, especially Brother Elmo. Get to church early, and I'd sit over beside him, and he'd tell me little stories of how they would take an old pine knot, twist it up, and make a torch out of it. And they'd work all day, and then they'd walk to church. And he'd tell me stories of how a lot of times they would get to praying, and they'd get to talking about the church service they had last night. And time they got to church, they was done in full worship. Some of them had done wallowed the dirty, muddy roads halfway to church and shouted all the way there. They'd get in, they'd have a service, and those was great times. And I didn't be part of that, Brother Bill. But I can look back, and then I can remember whenever I was a kid how things was. And then whenever I was maybe in my early 20s, and Brother Sparks talked the other night that we'd come in and no, I know I'm not no old man, but I am a middle-aged man, and I don't have the energy that I used to have. And I thought, but yet, are we really putting forth the effort that we need to?
Come on now.
I thought we used to come in and we was fired up, and we'd get in, we'd sing, and help push the service. And no, we don't do that like we used to. But I thought, we need to get connected. And I thought I'm talking to me just as much as I am some of you. We need to stay connected to the vine. Not just find us a little water hole and stick a limb down in there, sort of bud.
Come on.
But something that'll bring forth fruit.
Right.
I thought I want to bring forth fruit tonight. As they get us a song, let's come to this altar.
Good preaching. Good preaching.
And I thought, if you're struggling with what I said and not being able to stay connected to God, come to this altar and get rooted and grounded and connected to the vine. Bring forth fruit. As they get us a song tonight, let's pray.
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Oh, good preaching. Good preaching. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord.
Jesus.
Praise Lord, praise the Lord, praise the Lord. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Somebody testify. Anybody got a testimony? Sister Marcia, Sister Kathy, Sister Esther, Sister Donna. We just come right on through, right all back through there. Get all of it. Brother Bill. Let's testify.
No burning testimony, but I can say I love the Lord. I can say that I want to serve Him and do what He'd have me to do. Live like He'd want me to live. I've got many things in His hands, and I'm needing Him to move in for me and help me to know on some decisions that I need to make and help me to know just what to do and how to do it. I love Him tonight and surely don't want to fail, but do His will. Thank you.
Praise the Lord.
Thank you. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, dear God. Thank you, dear God.
God is good to us.
Yes, He is.
Is there another word anywhere?
Thank you, God. Thank you, God.
service back here again Wednesday night at 7. And we'll be back out here again Thursday night at the prayer meeting. And now I don't know how you are about it, but I was excited for the crowd we had this morning. But just like Brother Mitchell said, we got to keep that fervor in our worship, that it goes beyond Sunday morning. It's right on in here Wednesday night and Sunday night, that fervor in our worship. And that happens whenever things starts being done. We start bringing forth the fruit of holiness people. Pentecostal